It is finally here. Starting tonight, we got the Stage 3 playoffs for Overwatch League Stage Season number 2. Well, we had Vancouver Titans win the first stage. We had the San Francisco Shock take the second stage. Who will take this stage? Well, time will tell. So, today we have the number 1 and 2 seeds in action. And then tomorrow we'll have the 3 and 4 seeds taking on the 5 and 6 seeds. So, as per usual, today I will cover the quarterfinals, these 4 matchups. Then on Saturday I will talk about the semifinals and then the finals themselves. Today I will also make my overall prediction for who I think will take the whole thing. But then that might be subject to change. Obviously, if that team is then gone on Saturday, I will make a new prediction. Acknowledge that this one was wrong, but then make a new one with what we have left. So, pretty much, the usual thing going on for you guys. Hopefully, it makes sense. So, I am extremely excited for these stage playoffs. The first two weren't quite as interesting. The first stage playoffs were really good, but there were a lot of blowouts in the first round, a lot of 3-0s, and then even in the second round, we had a lot of like 4-0s, 4-1s that weren't even close. So, it will be really nice that these are projected to be way closer, and I agree with that. I think they'll be a lot closer as well. I mean, in stage two, I think we all kind of knew that San Francisco and Vancouver were the two best teams easily. Some people were like, oh, but New York, and then Vancouver beat New York pretty handily. So then we were like, okay, we know it's Vancouver and San Francisco, but Vancouver has lost this stage. San Francisco lost twice this stage, so these are two very vulnerable teams right now. Still extremely good teams. Either of them could still win this stage, but they are more vulnerable, I believe, than they ever have been. So with that being said, we also have some teams that have just jumped in for the first time. We have Seoul Dynasty, who they've been here before. They upset New York in the Stage 1 playoffs. They didn't make Stage 2, but they are back again, looking pretty darn strong. LA Valiant went from 0-7 Stage 1 to a respectable 3-4 last stage to now this stage. They went 5-2 and made their way into the stage playoffs, and they are now back into the overall playoffs discussion as well. You got Shanghai Dragons making their second consecutive stage playoff appearance. They lost to San Francisco in the first round last stage, but put a pretty good fight up. And then Houston Outlaws, they had okay stage 1, 3-4. Stage 2 was awful. They went 0-7, did not win a single match. And now this stage, much like the Valiant, 5-2 here in the stage playoffs and contending for an overall season playoff spot. So it's super exciting. We also have teams coming back like New York and Hangzhou, who have made the last couple stage playoffs as well. New York has made them all. Hangzhou has made stages 2 and 3. And here we are. So, who is going to win it all? Well, we'll find out. I'll give my prediction after I go through these predictions. So, first of all, Houston Outlaws taking on Vancouver Titans. So, this was a match in stage 2, I believe. These two teams played. Vancouver came out on top 3-1. Houston did take the King of the Hill map, though, the control map. Remember, the winner here gets 500K. So nice little bonus, and you're also crowned the stage champions. There's only a certain amount of teams in the Overwatch League who can say that. New York can say that, they won 2 times last year. The London Spitfire can say it, they won stage 1 last year. LA Valiant can say it, they won stage 4. And then, of course, San Francisco and Vancouver have won this year. So, will it be a new team? Personally, I do think it'll be a new team, and I'll tell you who once we get towards that prediction, though. But for this first match, I like Vancouver. I think it's a very close one, though. I think it's a 3-0 if Houston loses map 1. But I don't see that happening. I think Houston takes the control map again. They look so comfortable on that. Their comps, their team for the triple DPS setups, they look very, very, very good. Vancouver has struggled a little bit on control. So I think Houston jumps out to a good start. Vancouver they'll then pick a good map for them. Assault has been kind of their weak point this season, so if Houston has any chance, they're going to need to grab the first two maps. If they do take the first two, then it could get very interesting. But I think Vancouver will come back and take map number two and go on to win it 3-1. I see maps 3 and 4 being pretty close, especially map 3. I think Houston will give Vancouver um, a very good fight early on, but Vancouver will kind of just pull away in the end because even with the meta weakening them, I still think they're a better team than Houston. They're a bit more experienced, at least in the stage playoffs. Houston made stage playoffs in the first stage playoffs in season one, but they haven't made since. It's been a long time, so um, they're they're kind of struggling a little bit in terms of when it comes clutch time. They did win some important matches um, down the road, but they did lose to Florida. They're still inconsistent, and while I think that they will make the play-in tournament, they will get one of those top 12 slots. They're still not good enough to take down Vancouver at this moment. So I'm going to say Vancouver wins it 3-1. The reason they win it is because of Twilight. I think Twilight goes on to pretty much the entire match and just carries his freaking. He just puts all five of the guys, any subs too, just throw them on. He's got it because he's honestly the best player on their team, and I don't think it's even close, personally. If you disagree, if you think someone on Vancouver is better than Twilight, then let me know, and we'll discuss it. I'm curious to see if anyone has other thoughts on that. And then next we got Shanghai Dragons taking on the New York Excel. So this is a very dangerous match in terms of predicting and for the teams. So you got New York. They've had their struggles recently. Um, this is not the first time they've been a very high seed in the stage playoffs. They pretty much have been every stage. Except last stage, they were the fifth seed, but they won. In stage one, they were the two seed and then lost to Seoul immediately. Shanghai is a dangerous team. New York, like I said, they've had these struggles at times. I don't think they're as comfortable as the meta with the meta as some people are saying they are, just because they went 7-0. They did have a pretty darn weak schedule this stage, so that's one thing to keep in mind. But Shanghai kind of disappointed me the last couple of matches. Losing to Guangzhou, they've shown vulnerabilities. But we've seen Sabiobi completely whiff EMPs at a much higher clip than anyone else. He's still pretty darn new on the hero. Um, so that's something that could really throw a wrench into it. I think in a lot of ways this is a toss-up, but I think New York wins. I think they're still good enough that even if they kind of get off to a wobbly start, they can be okay. I think that they have improved at the Sombra Goats, and while Shanghai is probably still a little bit better than them, I think that they still have that clutch factor that you see the top teams have, like Vancouver and San Fran, where they just find a way to win fights. I think they'll be able to do that more than Shanghai. I'm going to say it goes 5. It could very well, like I said, this is a match that I truly think it could be a 3-0 either way, or a 3-1 or a 3-2. But I'm going to go with a 3-2 just because of how these teams have been performing the last couple of weeks, and then their relative confidence with this meta. Because Shanghai, I would say, is a bit more confident in the meta, but New York is still just on a different level at this point. So it'll be close. Those will bring them together. But in the end, New York will clutch up and move on to the semis. Then the Friday matches, we got the Seoul Dynasty taking on the San Fran Shock. So we've heard some interesting talk about San Francisco lately. Some people have said that they've kind of lacked motivation this stage after they had such a good stage 2. They were upset by the Houston Outlaws and the Chengdu Hunters, teams that they really shouldn't lose to, even though those are two good, respectable teams, for sure. Two dangerous teams. But playing at their best, San Francisco shouldn't lose to them. But they've been a little bit they've been a little bit slow to adapt to this meta. We've seen them struggle with Sombra. We've seen Super and a couple other players in their team actively speak out against Sombra, calling her a crutch, saying that she's just a terrible character, things like that. So there's been a little bit of, I wouldn't say like it's not in team drama, but there has been like a little bit of man, what's going on with the Shock? They've really kind of fallen off after not dropping a single fucking map in stage 2. um, I think this is where it all gets reversed. And with all due respect to Seoul Dynasty, they made it in as the number, they end up the number 6, I believe, seed. Or no, sorry, they're the 5. They're 5, San Fran's 4. But either way, these teams are all virtually the same. Yeah, that's right, because Hangzhou is the 3 seed because they went 6-1. So yeah, Seoul's the 5 seed. San Francisco is the 4 seed. I think San Francisco blows them out of the water. I think it's a 3-0 for the Shock. I think they've kind of been waiting for this point. I think it was maybe a little bit of last year's New York, which they didn't really care about the regular season as much. They know that they're not gonna catch Vancouver at this point for the number 1 overall seed. They're pretty locked into that 3 seed. I mean, they would have to completely fall apart in stage 4 for that to be in jeopardy. I'm thinking 2 and 5 at least for like Hangzhou to be able to catch them, or maybe Gladiators because they're 3 games behind them. So they would have to completely collapse. I don't see that happening. And now that it's the stage playoffs, I think that they're really going to come to life. Just like New York and Vancouver, I still don't think they're as comfortable with this meta, but I think that they win anyway, just because they're a lot better, honestly, than Seoul. I liked Seoul's Fissure lineup more than their Marvel lineup, so I think that since Fissure's retirement, they've actually gotten a bit weaker. So yeah, with all due respect to Seoul, they had a very nice stage. They're still a very good team, but I think San Francisco still, like I've been saying a couple times, they're still on that next level, and I think they're gonna showcase that tomorrow and take it pretty easily. So I think the most interesting match of them all, I'm picking. This is a bit of a cop out, but I'm picking the winner of this match to win it all. I think to win this stage, not the whole league, just this stage. I think that these are the 2 teams that are the best and most comfortable with this meta. I would have had Shanghai there, but with the last couple weeks, I mean, the Spark are just so confident right now. So are the Valiant. These teams played each other. Spark won 3-2 in a very close match, and I mean, we've seen the skill of these teams. Hangzhou won, or they lost 1 match this stage, and they look very comfortable running those DPS variants as well as the Sombra Goats. It's the same thing with the Valiant. Ever since they put in Shax on the Sombra, it just kind of transformed their team. They became super dangerous, beat the Titans. So I'm gonna go with the Valiant here. I think they beat the Spark in 5. Um, I'm leaning that way because the Spark beat them last time. And I think when 2 very evenly matched teams play each other, I think it becomes even harder for the team that won last time to win twice in a row. It's like what they say in the NFL when like if divisional teams play twice and they're both good, say the Packers play the Bears and the Bears win both times in the regular season, then they make the playoffs and they're playing each other again. People will say, "Oh, I think the Packers will win because it's so hard to beat good teams 3 times in a row." This would only be twice in a row, but I think it's a very similar concept. I love the Valiant's communication. I love their team cohesiveness. I love their coaching staff. They seem to have really brought it back together. And while I'm not a Valiant fan, I'm a Gladiator fan. And I hate to see it because, hated rivals. But I think that they will beat the Spark and they will go on to win the whole thing. So, those are the predictions for this stage. Let me know what you guys think. I know we're getting pretty close to first. I mean, we're just under an hour and a half away from the start of the Houston-Vancouver series. But let me know who you think is going to win these matches, or who you think is going to win the whole stage, and why. So, other than that, I got nothing for you. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic couple of days here. Hope you get to watch the matches and that they're all super close. That's all I'm rooting for. My gladiators are out, so I just want good, close matches. Um, so, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.